Hello everybody, this is Coach Shapto. This is your homework that will be due. So I just wanted to show you how to do it if you were confused during class. Remember, this is distributive property, so I'm working with this guy. And if you remember distributive property, if I have a number and it's mashed up or close to a parentheses, say 5, means we multiply. Well, that same thing applies if I have, say, 4 times 2 plus 3. We're going to multiply this 4 times everything that's inside the parentheses. So we're going to work through this, but we have variables, letters, that we're going to have to work through. Our first example has 4 parentheses x plus 3. So I've got 4 over here. I have x and 3 here. And so that picture method, this is drawing the picture. We find out we have 1, 2, 3, 4 x's, which is right there. And then I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 singles. So that's going to be right there. So look at number 2. I'm going to do it 4 different ways for you. I'm not going to do that for every problem, but for this one I will. So in class we talked about the picture method, obviously. And so the picture method would have had 3, 1, 2, 3. And if I head over here, I'd have had an x, and then another x, and then another x, and then a 1. And so if I were to look at this, I would have 1 times x gives me an x, 1 times x gives me an x, and 1 times x gives me an x. Like x, 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 and then I end up with 1 times 1 is 1. And then I do the same thing again. This way it annoys me a lot because it takes so long. I get 1, and I do the same thing again, and I get 1. X, 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 1, 1, 1. So in total, I end up with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 x's and 3 singles. Over here, we have the box method. In the box method, we're going to set it up like you did in elementary school. So I'm going to put the 3x up top here, and then I'll put the 1 over here, and this is an area model. So I've got 3, and then I multiply. 3 times 3 is 9 x's, and then I multiply times the second group. 3 times 1 gives me 3. So my answer is 9x plus 3. The next method is the adding. So I would say, well, I have 3x plus 1 and 3x plus 1 and 3x plus 1. And I have to add them all together because it says that there's 3 of them. And so this is going to be 1 plus 1 plus 1 is 3. And 3x plus 3x plus 3x gives me 9x plus 3. The last method is the arrow method. And so I'm going to take 3x plus 1. And I draw the arrow and multiply. 3 times 3 is 9x. And I draw the arrow and multiply. 3 times 1 is 3. And that's my answer. Next problem, I'm going to start by using the adding method. So we'll use the adding method for this one. It says 6x plus 2. So I'm going to put x plus 2, 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 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and x plus 2. And you'll notice I draw 6 of them because it says there's 6 of them. And so that gives me 12. And then there's 6 x's. So that's 6x plus 12. So my answer is 6x plus 12. The next problem says that I have 2x plus 4, and there's actually a 5 on the outside over here. It's the same thing though. I prefer to put the 5 on the front. It doesn't really matter. So I'm going to use the box method. So I'm going to put the 5 on the front. I have 2x plus 4. Draw my line. 5 times 2 gives me 10x, and 5 times 4 gives me 20. So my answer is 10x plus 20. Next problem says x plus 5 and 3. I'll do the picture method, a different picture method. So I had an x and then 5. Think about this as coins. And this is all in a box. So if you think about it as money, I've got like a box of coins and then some coins, and it's all together. And it says there's 3 of them. So I'm going to draw another one. X, coin, 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 and then X, and 5 coins. So as I look at this, I end up with 3 X's and 15. Next problem. Have I done all the methods? I think so. What method? Oh, the arrow method. So this is going to be the arrow method. 2, 4x plus 3. So I draw the arrow to the first number and to the second number. 2 times 4 is 8 x's, and 2 times 3 is 6. Next problems, there's more of them. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit. That's not what I wanted. All right, here we go. So first one is done for you. Let's go ahead and look at the second. So it says I have 3 5x plus 1 and 5x plus 6. So this is, I want you to treat this like 2 different problems because they're separated by an addition sign. So if I look at this and I do the arrow method, I would do 3 times 5, and I would do 3 times 1. So the next thing that I'm going to see is like, okay, well, 3 times 5 is going to be 15x, and 3 times 1, why am I using that color? 15x, and the 3 times 1 is going to be 3. So then I go to the second problem. I've got 5 times x, and then I have 5 times 6. So I've got plus 5 times x is 5x, and 5 times 6 is 30. So if I add all these together, I see my x's here, and I'm going to highlight those in green. That's an x, that's an x. And then I see my regular numbers in orange. And so I'm going to add my x's together. So that 15 plus 5 is going to be 20x, plus 3 and 30 is going to be 33. And that's my final answer. Next problem has fractions, but again, it's the same. We know how to multiply fractions, so it shouldn't be an issue. If I take 1/4 times 8, remember fractions mean divide, so this is 1 times 8 divided by 4. Well, 8 divided by 4 is 2. So this is going to give me 2x. And then I draw my second arrow. 1/4 of 16 is going to be like dividing by 16. So it's 16 divided by 4 is 4. So my answer is this. I'll use the box method here. I have 2, and then 7x, and minus 8. So 2 times 7 is going to be 14 x's. 2 times minus 8 is going to be minus 16. And then I've got 14x minus 16, but don't forget to bring your x back here. Now, the reason I didn't multiply this initially is because it's not inside the parentheses. So it just has to be added on at the end. So again, I'm going to highlight. I see that I've got my yellow or my orange. Those are my x's. And then I have my constant, which is my regular number. So my final answer is going to be 14x plus 1x will be 15x minus 16, and that's my final answer. Number 11, again, we need to do this section first. I'm not going to use any of the other. I'm just going to use the box method and the arrow method. So we're going to do arrow. I draw the arrow. Remember, I don't do anything with the 9x before I do my parentheses. So I write 9x plus 4 times 2 is 8x, and then 4 times 20 is 80. So now, if I go back, I've got my x's, I've got my constant. If I add these together, I end up with 17x plus 80. Number 12, again, I'm going to draw my arrow, or I can do the box method. I'll do the box method. I got a 7, I got a 4x, and a minus 9. 7 times 4 is 28x, and then 7 times minus 9 is going to be minus 63. So my final answer is 23. 8x minus 63. Number 13 is a little bit harder because we're going to have to do some fraction work. So I'm going to actually make my a little bit smaller. So I've got 3/8. Let's use the arrow method here. Got 3/8 times 16 and 3/8 times negative 48. So, and that's, yeah, I said negative 48. The minus 48 or negative 48, they're the same thing. So if I, basically the same thing. They're not exactly the same thing, but right now they're working as the same thing. If I take 3/8 times 16, now I could multiply 3 times 16 and get a crazy number, but I like to divide first because I see that 16 and 8 can both divide. So 8 goes into 16 2 times, so that can simplify and divide into 2, and then my answer is just 3 times 2 is 6. So 3/8 of 16 is going to be 6x. And then if I take 3/8 of 48, I'm going to do the same thing, right? I could multiply 3 times 48, but I don't want to do that. I'm going to take 48. How many times does it go into 48? 48 can go into 40 times 6 times. And so this becomes a 1. So 3 times 6 is 18. I've now done my multiplication in the parentheses, so now I need to add my extra number. It just comes down. And so I end up with my x's and my constant. So if I add those together, I end up with 6x and 3x is 9x's minus 18. Last one, we've got 2 problems to do here. So I've got 5 times x and 5 times 4, 8 times y, and 8 times negative 2. Let's use the box method. So I've got 5x plus 4, and I've got 8y minus 2. All right. So if I did 5 times x, I'd get 5x. If I did 5 times 4, I get 20. If I did 8 times y, I would get 8y. And if I did 8 times minus 2, I'd get minus 16. Here I end up with 5x plus 20 plus 8y minus 16. So if I then look, I can highlight my x's together. There's no more x's. I'm going to highlight my y's. There's a y. And then I'm going to highlight my constants. There's my constants. And so if I add these together, I've got 5x and 8y. And then 20 minus 16 is 4.